Hello, everyone. Welcome to Michelle's Inspiration Hour, the podcast that's here to uplift your spirits and fuel your motivation. I'm your host, Michelle, and in each episode, I'm dedicated to bring you a dose of inspiration, joy, and the drive to conquer your goals. Today, we have a truly remarkable guest joining us on the show, Matt Barrios, someone who embodies the essence of personal growth and global perspective. Hailing from the vibrant city of San Francisco, Matt wears many hats. He's a researcher, a skilled writer, and a transformational coach, but his journey does not stop there. Together with his wife and adorable baby, and we can ask him about his wonderful baby, he's embarked on a global exploration, diving into homes and lives of experts and everyday individuals across the world. So get ready to dive into the world of inspiration, growth, and creativity with Matt. His insightful research and transformative coaching have the power to leave a lasting impact. And you can explore more of his work at homelifedesignlab.com. Stick around because this episode is brimming with wisdom and motivation you won't want to miss. So let's bring him on. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Michelle. Gosh, that's like the warmest welcome I've ever felt. I'm just so pumped up. Thank you so much for all these kind things you said
Oh, you're
about me.
welcome.
I'm
Oh,
thrilled to
you're
get to be a
welcome.
guest on this show, and yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, and it's incredible to have you because once again, I saw your profile and I thought, oh my gosh, it's so different. I mean, because the people I work with spiritually, they they don't really consider their home as being important,
Mhm.
and that's where we spend almost what 80-90% of our time.
Yeah.
And so I saw what you were doing and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to have him on so that he can guide us with his wisdom and your research. Because I also love the research that you're doing as well. But before we dive into that, let me let everybody know what inspired you to get along this pathway, this journey of yours that you're on.
Gosh, Michelle, it's a long story. Say the shorter version, but the gist of it is that I'm just a very like intrinsically motivated person around home. Me and my wife had a conversation years ago where we asked the question, if there was just one thing each of us really wanted to stand for in life,
Right.
and obviously we're going to care about other things as well, but if there's just like one thing that's like smack dab in the middle, what is it? And my response was home. Like, I actually think home is one of the most important things in our lives. Part of it is what you described. It's like statistically been proven that the average person spends 2/3 of their life at home, and yet it's something that is almost like hidden in plain sight, so easy to forget. So it was a combination of that kind of deeper reflection about what makes me tick, what do I stand for in life, mixed with this realization of like, oh yeah, and this is actually um, yeah, there's multifaceted, multiple dimensions of challenges that people face at home that I want to
Mhm.
help guide people through. So yeah, is kind of the story in a nutshell.
Oh, and that's, those women, that wife of yours
Yeah.
got you on the right pathway. Sometimes it takes, minds that are alike and similar to get on the right pathway.
Yep.
So how do you think that being a comedian, stand-up comedian or improv comedian,
Improv, yes.
improv, I'm sorry, I know there's a difference, improv comedian and being a transformational coach, and I know that you were a realtor at one time.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah. I worked
correct?
in real estate. I was a marketing director for a real estate company.
Okay.
I'm not licensed as a realtor, but
Right,
worked with the
right.
team. Yes.
So how did all of these skills, how does this help you in doing what you're doing now?
Gosh, that's a great question. So first on improv, improv applies across life, like period. I remember going to my first improv class here in San Francisco, And it was so wonderful because everybody is on the same page, all beginners at the same time, right? So it's not
Mm,
intimidating. I used to
right.
say it's like recess for adults to get to go to an
Yeah.
improv class. And you go and you play and you learn how to step boldly and confidently into an unknown space with a supportive team, and create.
Yeah.
Um, and I think so. Like that's like my biggest takeaway skill from improv is actually like I would even say like not only a comfort but like a value for stepping into uncertainty in order to create. So I'd say that's really helped me along the way. Real estate marketing, because I have this background in considering homes and residences so deeply, and then turning that into sales and copywriting materials. I feel like I know what people are looking for when they think about home on that side of it. Like, where do I choose to live? and um and yeah, just kind of like learning how to articulate it and turn it into graphic documents and so on and so
Yeah.
forth, sales documents. So I guess, yeah, I don't know, like many of these things converge in this project for me, which I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to bring my improvisational self who wants to step into the unknown and create out of nothing, the marketer in me that can do all the design work and the copywriting work and so on. And yeah, I think it's really fun opportunity and outlet to do this.
And let's go ahead and bring up your podcast, because I know this is a part of it. Then we'll talk about the different framework that you have developed for your workshops.
Yes.
And so, but let's go ahead and bring up your podcast, Home Life for Extraordinary Impact. So,
Hmm.
what is your inspiration behind this podcast here?
I love podcasting as a format. I think just getting the opportunity to listen in on people's conversations, and you get unique angles on people's lives. So I am have a deep research background. I used to be an academic for a couple of years. I was working at a university as an English instructor, teaching students critical thinking and writing. Did a ton of research work. I'm also trained as a UX design researcher. So these things come together in my angle on this podcast, which is researching, really interviewing deeply people's experiences of their homes from this design research angle. I could get very nerdy about this stuff because I love research.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like what I do is I interview folks who are sometimes experts, such as a Danish wood furniture designer who has this unique expertise on building these heirloom pieces in people's homes. Uh, and also sometimes everyday people. Like, I had a conversation with like a Gen Z young lady who just finished school, who lives in Italy. And
Oh, wow.
I have been doing, uh, making these connections with folks around the world in order to get a global perspective on home. Ultimately, I am doing this so that I can deliver insights to people, distill these insights by thinking about what are the things that are deeply human about home and help us really thrive at home by like exploring it from every angle. So that's the whole mission of this project. And every time I interview somebody, that's what I'm looking for, is those insights, those interesting things of delight or surprise that are like, oh, you do that, that would actually be really helpful if everybody did that, right? So yeah, it's really
Right,
fun.
right. And I absolutely love that because you are having such a variety of people. And here, everybody, to me, it used to be called the melting pot, but I think it's globally now because we're so, transit. We can move from country to country. The one thing that I did see on your podcast, and I know that you talk about the design of the home as well,
Yes.
about making it personality wise and functioning, but I also saw, and I think it was more of the most recent one, is navigating narcissistic relationships at home.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that is so important because not only do you dive into the concrete, but you also dive into relationships in your
Yes.
home
Yes.
and the psychological part of it.
Absolutely. Home, as I mentioned before, it's like a multi-dimensional space. Like everything's happening at home. We're we're sleeping and eating, we're bathing ourselves, we're having conversations with people that we love, we're hosting. Oftentimes we're working at home. Like there's just so many layers. So I think that's part of what excites me about a really in-depth consideration and research around home and coaching people around their home lives is that it's actually a way to kind of touch on a little bit of everything, including
Right.
relationships and the deep inner worlds of people, which is something that really, really matters to me as well.
Because I know a lot of people, when you get home, you're stressed. You want to
Yeah.
de-stress,
Yeah.
and I think it's great that you're able to really look at the different aspects of the home so that somebody can actually just kind of relax in their
Yeah.
home, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you a question, because this happens a lot, with my clients, is they don't know how to make it their home. If that
Yes.
makes any as they, it's like they're either renting or
Hmm.
and they don't know how to change things. What would you recommend to them about how to make it their own so that they feel like, spiritually, this is where I need to be?
That's I love that you're asking that question. One of my clearest initial research findings from interviewing all these people and compiling all this information, people consistently brought up the idea of feeling at home, right? What does that even
Right.
mean to like feel at home? So I started digging
Yeah.
into that phrase with people, and I came to realize what people mean by feeling at home is there's an alignment between sort of their inner self and their outer world. So the things that they value, their mood, their thoughts on their mind, whatever it might be, is somehow represented or nurtured or supported in their external world. So, for example, if a person comes home and they're exhausted at the end of day of work, and they just really, really, really need a place that can be a home to them, and actually they need some rest, right? So
Right.
a
Right.
nice comfortable armchair where you can put your feet up, like that is the thing that will deliver a sense of home for you, right? um,
Right.
and we can also go deeper into that. So like the exploration for people around their deeper values. Do you care about being surrounded by beauty and design? What is your art style that you appreciate and you want to hang on the wall? Like you can see in the background here, like we've
Right.
got this cool African tapestry that
Oh, right.
yeah, and like and these kinds of things. Like so I would just like encourage people to do the internal inventory of values that you have. How can they be represented in your home? What, for example,
Mhm.
sentimental objects are important for you. So hanging family photos, displaying that heirloom, you know, armoire in the corner of
Yeah.
your house or whatever it might be, and just setting up those spaces to do that. Because as much as like we're renting here in San Francisco, you
Right.
know and as much as we can rent places, we can also still, for whatever amount of time, like make it a place that feels like us and put our stamp on it. So yeah, that would be my
Yeah. Yeah.
that recommendation for people: the internal look and how can I represent this in the environment around me.
Hi, if you are being inspired by this episode, please share with somebody that will also be inspired. We are here to change the world. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, I absolutely love it, because you can see behind me where I had to find little trinkets that not only thought of myself, but what could really inspire people. And I have, okay, so behind me I have two different bobbleheads. and,
I love it. What
and
are
I
they?
they're I have 100 of them. Okay, probably about 120. It
Wow.
was an obsession at one time, and it was a collectible. So what they do, they represent different characters from my favorite movies. And so I
Hmm.
had a room after my one of my child left for college, and I had a room dedicated for bobbleheads. And it
Yeah.
just made me, it was so much fun, and it brought me joy.
Yes.
My husband, on the other hand, he's going, oh, where else can we put these bobbleheads?
Always the negotiation, right? Yeah,
That's
I love it.
exactly right. So sometimes you have to
May
negotiate, but
Yeah, Can I ask you a question about that real quick?
Yeah,
Because like, and maybe this will actually help land the point that
yeah,
I was describing.
absolutely.
What do you feel like those bobbleheads represent to you? Like, what do they signify or mean to
I
you?
love it. I because my downtime, I love watching movies. Because it's so creative.
Hmm.
And that's how I can just
Yeah.
kind of relax and have a great time. So the bobbleheads kind of represent the child in me,
Hmm.
to have fun and have joyful moments. In each character, it's almost like, okay, like in acting, each character is a different personality as well. And I don't know why I connect with these characters, but I love to read books. So I'm all into creative storytelling.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I love that. So it's a combination of like nurturing this inner child,
Yes.
having fun,
Yes.
valuing joy, mixed with this like creative part of you that
Mhm.
loves stories and storytelling and everything. And
Right.
and so then it gets represented in this bobblehead
Yes.
collection. Like I think that's like such a clear example of like, oh, these are things that matter to me, that I value in my life, and I'm actually going to surround myself with that in my home in
Right.
order to have that regular reminder. It's so cool.
Yes. So that's it. That's exactly. And right now I kind of put them on the side, but I'm about to have grandchildren. So I'm thinking maybe these will be toys for my grandchildren as well.
Oh,
But it
that's
does,
cool.
it brings me joy. And also, having plants. But let's look at your workshop that you're teaching.
Yes.
Okay. And you call it the mustard. I know it's an acronym, but mustard framework, which is
Yes.
MSTTRD, and it stands for
Mhm.
different things. Can you kind of talk
Yes.
about that framework and how you came up with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this framework is, I created it out of seeing the need that almost every person was having around creating life giving boundaries between their work and their homes. So, especially in an increasingly work from home, work remote sort of world. We quickly adjusted to that for a while, but nobody has
Yeah,
really cracked the nut for how to do that in an ongoing, sustainable way.
right.
So that's what I was trying to do is serve people with like, hey, here's some wisdom, some guidance. Here's a framework that's easier to understand and implement. Uh, in order to create some helpful boundaries, supportive boundaries between your work and your home.
Oh my
So it helps people who work from home. It helps people who are working in an office. But mustard, it's an acronym, um, and yeah, it each one stands for kind of like different dimensions of the home,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I actually recorded a good podcast episode that's like a kind of like flyover of it, and
Right.
you can also check out the workshop.
Great.
But yeah, it was like so helpful for me to in my own home. Like I kind of had to test it out for myself in order to think through like the many different things
Mhm.
that yeah that it takes to like um create boundaries because well, one of the first things that I go through in the workshop is the fact that like uh, sometimes we need really firm boundaries with things. Sometimes we just need a really light little touch of a
Oh, yeah.
boundary. We
Right.
don't need like something like really really crazy or intense with it. Sometimes we actually just need like um, I don't even know how to say it, but like we just need like a little reminder,
Oh, right.
perhaps. So
Right.
yeah. So at any
Absolutely.
rate, real quick, it stands for mustard. It stands for mind, space, time, tech, relationships, and delight.
Yeah. I love that last
And
one.
so each, yeah, delight, right? Like, what's it for, right? Like we want to enjoy our
Right.
lives, right?
Right.
So making sure that it's still on our minds, that like we're kind of jiggering our life in order to set it up for being a delightful experience of home and our work. So yeah,
Yeah, who would have known that we would be working from home? There's so many people who
yeah,
haven't gone back yet, and they're still working from home. But it's so funny because I think of, Disney World used to have this futuristic, um, I guess it's display or whatever, and you would a show, and you would watch it. There was
Yeah.
this family under the sea, you know, like you could see the sea and somebody scuba diving, and the mom's
Yeah.
homeschooling, and they're looking through monitors, you know, through homeschooling, and they're being taught by a different teacher. They're being taught by mom, and dad is a scientist, so he's working. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, how awesome! We're homeschooling, we are working from home. Who would have known? And we're looking through monitors. And this was back in the 80s. Okay. I was like
Wow.
18, 19 years old. And it's
Yeah.
so wild how somebody who actually looked at this as a perspective in the future actually turned out to be correct.
Wow.
Yeah. It's,
That is wild.
yeah.
Like those sorts of, I'm a very futuristically minded person.
Right.
Like, strengths finder. That's my top strength, futuristic, right?
Right. Right.
Um, and so I'm always interested in this relationship between like imagination of the future and
Mhm.
what actually gets created.
Right.
Like the future is all being built
Yeah.
by people who are imagining it right now. Like
Absolutely.
that's the way it works. And so those folks at Disney who are like, Imagineers, that's what they call them,
Yes.
right? Like you
Yes.
imagine it and then it turns into that. It turns into a reality. I love
Absolutely. I'm thinking we'll never be looking into monitor and talking to each other. And here we
it.
are. We got our cell phones and everything else. Okay, so is there I'm going to ask you about inspirational now. If I came to you, now this is nothing, well, I mean you can turn it into your home or whatever. But if I am
Mm,
having a horrible week and I came to you and I go, "Matt, what kind of inspiration can you give me to get through the week?" What would you tell me?
mhm,
What would you say?
mhm. Yeah. Just some inspiration through the week. I think I would just like uh let's say it was just like a random person on the street who's like having a hard day and
Yeah.
they come up to me and I would just like voice confidence in them. That's the biggest thing I would do. Like and just remind people of how like how innately worthy and full of dignity that
Mhm.
they are, how they get to be a of service to this world, and that's such a beautiful thing. And that for me to share a moment with them and let them know, like, hey, I respect you, I care about you. Maybe I'm not going to be in your life for forever or whatever, but like, I just like, yeah, I there's respect and dignity. So I think that would be like just the biggest thing is reminding people of how innately valuable and worthy they are. Uh, that'd be like step one. I think step two would also be asking them questions about what are you dreaming of? What do you hope for? And I've learned over and over again the energy of hope. And, again, going back to being a very, very futuristic person, to like have a dream that you're working toward that might be a 5 year, 10 year, 20 year dream, but to have that vision in your mind, that's like, I'm excited about that. And that's a thing that matters to me and that I would love to give my life toward. Um, and and remember with hope, like, and it is possible, right? Like, uh, and then the final piece I'd say is, um, yeah, I think it probably uh, dig into because times are tough too. I think I'd also be interested in like, yeah, where are you hurting right
Right,
now?
right.
So what's the struggle? What's the challenge? Just tell me about it. And because as much as I think there's uh like there's a surprising maybe a nugget of inspiration that is available when we dig into some of our hurts, challenges, pains. I've experienced that my pains are my passions. It's the things that I have hurt through in my life that now fuel the things that I care about most. Even on this project around home, it's not that I had a horrible home or anything by those means growing up, but it was a place of loneliness. And now what I really stand for and love is this passion around hosting and hospitality from the home,
All right.
right? That's like one of the layers that I really care about. So helping people transform the hard day, the momentary moment, like challenges, whatever they might be, and see if there's an opportunity to turn that into passion.
Right.
as well. So
Oh, I love
yeah, all of that.
it.
I think all those things.
See, and that tells us who you truly are because you are a service guy. You love to service others, and especially to make them happy where they are in their home, which is so important.
Hmm.
Is there anything
Yeah.
else that we did not talk about that you want to make sure that we do?
Oh gosh. Um, I mean, I feel like I could always talk days and days with
Right.
people. I just love conversations, and it just makes me so happy to have a moment to connect with you, Michelle. So, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
I and I think, yeah, I guess maybe just the final thing I'll just say, like the vision that compels me in this project is a a world in which everybody has a home where they can really thrive.
Right.
And it is a place of refuge and consistent ongoing growth as a person, meaningful connection with the people that they live with or that they have over. Um, and it sets them up to make their greatest impact in the world around them. Because I think the stuff of grassroots change in the world, it really starts at the home, and me caring about how your home is and inviting you over to mine and taking care of that with one another. So that's the vision that I stand for, is a world in which everybody has a home that they really love and can thrive in,
Right.
and that we stand for that for other people as well.
Oh, I love it. Love it. You ready for the wheel?
I'm so ready. Yes, I'm so excited for the wheel. I like
Everybody is.
watched the previous show and I was like, oh, I can't wait for the
All
wheel
right.
part.
Let me move it over and open it so we can see it. Now we can spin it. All right. You ready?
All
Let's do
right.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is bringing out your child in you, right? With the wheel.
Oh, 100%. I
Oh,
love games.
I love when it's on the corner. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking
Okay.
about, my little bobbleheads. A lot of them are superheroes. So, but you don't have to look at a superhero. So if you had to choose a superpower, what would it be?
Superpower. Um, Good question. Wow, this is I don't have a pre-answer for
Yeah.
this question at all. Um, um, so, let's see. Okay, this is what it would be.
Okay.
All right. Um, it would be to be able to like touch objects like rocks or something,
Right.
and then turn them into, like with a touch, incredible meals.
Oh,
So it's like, so it's like the Midas touch, turn things to gold, except for it turns into like a really, really good food for people. So I could just like serve people up really good food and eat great food
oh
all the
my
time. So
gosh.
yeah, it says a little something about
Oh,
my mindset
they
too.
would, that is a wonderful superpower. You know what I'm saying? That would
Isn't
be
it? Yeah,
wonderful.
feed people and
Yeah.
feed myself, and that'd be
Oh,
incredible.
that's awesome. Because see, you don't have to cook. You just spend the time talking and eating.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'd probably put on a few pounds if I
I
had that
know.
superpower. That's for sure.
And I was going to ask you, is that 0 calories or
Oh, that's the true superpower. It tastes incredible and it's 0 calories.
that's right.
Or
That's
yeah, that's
right.
great.
All right, Matt, where can everybody reach you?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. If you would check out homelifedesignlab.com, that's where you'll see a lot of what I'm working on with this project. And I'm also available on uh, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the primary places where I'll do some posting and stuff. And if you want to find links to all of that really easily, like my profiles, if you go to mattbarrios.me, there's a quick little landing page that has the links easy to access.
Awesome. Well, you heard it from Matt, guys, of how you can make your home be your home. It's what you make out of it, and make it something special where you are not only physically feeling really good, but also spiritually. And that is, to me, the most important thing is really feeling that you can come home and be relaxed, take off your shoes. And who cares what
Yeah.
anybody thinks of you? And just because home is so important. So, thank you guys for listening. Matt, thank you for coming on, and I will see everybody next week.